Hello, welcome to Windows 11 Intro. Today we'll be talking about Windows 11, which is the new operating system that was released in October 2021. Let me give you a brief outline of what we're going to talk about today. So first I'm going to talk about what is Windows 11. And then I will talk about the minimum requirements necessary for Windows 11 to run on your computer and how you can find that information. Then I will talk about similarities between Windows 10, which is the previous operating system from Microsoft, and this new Windows 11. Then I will talk about the changes, the differences between Windows 10 and Windows 11. And then we will have a little frequently asked questions section where I will be answering some questions that come up a lot. And then there will be time at the end for Q&A. Thank you very much for joining me, and let's get started. So what is Windows 11? Well, Windows 11 is Microsoft's latest release of its operating system, and it's the successor to Windows 10, which was the successor to Windows 8, if you remember. Windows 11 is a free upgrade for many devices running Windows 10, and was released on October 5th, 2021. The reason the update is for many and not all Windows 10 computers is that there are hardware requirements for Windows 11 that older Windows 10 computers may not meet. Windows 11 is very similar to Windows 10. I've been using it for a couple months at work, and I would say there's a lot of similarities, more similarities than differences. But with the new features and a more user-friendly interface, it's available on Windows 11. Windows 10 will continue to be supported until October 14th, 2025, at which point we expect updates will no longer be provided for Windows 10. If your computer can't upgrade or you don't want to upgrade, you still have a lot of time. So let's talk a little bit about how do we know if our computer can upgrade to Windows 11? So most computers are about 4 years old or newer will support Windows 11. The easiest way to determine compatibility is to use the PC Health Check app. So if you search Windows 11 PC Health Check on Google, this will get you to a link from Microsoft, and it is free and a downloadable program that will tell you whether your computer can run Windows 11, which is the easiest way to figure it out. Let me tell you a little bit about the minimum requirements for Windows 11. You can find some of these on your PC, either in settings or in about your PC, which I believe is also in settings as well. So the minimum requirements to run Windows 11 currently is a processor with 1 gigahertz or faster with 2 or more cores on a 64-bit processor. So we're talking Intel CPUs, either 8th generation or newer, and 8th generation Intels are from 2017 and newer. And then that would correspond to AMD CPUs. We're talking Ryzen 2000 or newer. So that's going to be about 2018 or newer. So if your computer's within the last 4 years or so, it should be able to run, it should meet those requirements for the processor. Windows 11 needs at least 4 gigabytes of RAM, which is random access memory. It's the memory it uses to compute things that you're doing currently. And then it would need at least 64 gigabytes of storage on your hard drive, and that can be a hard disk drive or a solid state drive. The graphics requirement for Windows 11 is DirectX 12 or later with WDDM 2.x driver. So what does that all mean? That sounds like jargon. Well, most computers within the past 4 years have DirectX graphics, DirectX 12 graphics. So if your computer is newer, within that time frame, it'll probably be okay. Let's talk about the display. Windows 11 is looking for greater than a 9-inch high definition display, so 720 pixels. Additionally, the UEFI and Secure Boot must be compatible for your computer. However, UEFI and Secure Boot are related to the computer's BIOS, which is the software used to start up your computer. So most newer computers have these features. There's a running theme. So the newer your computer is, the more likely it is to be able to run Windows 11. The last requirement is TPM 2.0 version or higher. So TPM stands for Trusted Platform Module, and it's a physical module on your computer's motherboard that provides security features. Version 2.0 became standard to put in computers in late 2014. So that's a little bit about the requirements to run Windows 11. You can look up PC Health Check and download that app. It's for free. But your computer, if it's running Windows 10, will keep checking to see if Windows 11 is available for you. And I will show you how to see when Windows 11 is ready for you to download. That'll come a little bit later. First of all, we're going to talk about the similarities between Windows 10 and Windows 11. So the most recent operating system for Microsoft is Windows 10. I believe they used it as a basis for Windows 11. There's a lot of similarities. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. Here we go. So you should be able to see my beautiful background here, my Windows 11. Look at it, so pristine. So let's first talk about the settings menu. So the settings menu is something that we do get in Windows 10, and I'll show you. We have some screenshots from a Windows 10 machine, just so we can compare. So this might look familiar to you. This is the Windows 10 settings screen. And as a comparison, let's take a look at settings in Windows 11. All right. So the settings categories are the same, but they're listed vertically on the left here, rather than in a grid, as we can see in the Windows 10 screenshot. All right, there are new fresh icons for each category, keeping it up to date. So let's talk about updating your computer in Windows 11. It works a lot like it does in Windows 10. So you go to the Windows Update section of settings, and then you can see you're up to date. You can check for updates. This is the section sort of like right below here in Windows 10 that would tell you if you can upgrade to Windows 11. So you would go to your updates and security section of your settings, and then you can see if Windows 11 is available for you. So let's talk about customizing your computer from settings. So if we go into settings and we click the personalization category, you can see there's a lot of options for customization in Windows 11. So you can change your desktop background, theme, lock screen, all these kinds of things. Fonts you want to install, the colors you want to use. There's also various themes. So if you prefer a dark theme, you can try one of those instead if that works better for you. So those are some differences between Windows 10 and Windows 11, but a lot of it's the same. So settings looks pretty similar as far as what the categories have. Let's talk a little bit about Control Panel. So Control Panel is an area of Windows 10 that lets you customize certain aspects of your system. So it includes user account control, network and internet options, sound device selection, and printer management. So this, you can see on my desktop, is a screen capture of the Windows 10 control panel. Here's user accounts. This is where you would access printers and sound. Network and internet is right here. But let's take a look at what it looks like in Windows 11. Search. So it's called the same thing, and it looks very similar. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, so we have all the same things here: user accounts, hardware and sound, which includes printers, and network and internet as well. We just got new fresh icons for Windows 11. Isn't that exciting? So that's some of the sort of superficial differences in control panel. A lot of the stuff is still the same. What else is similar between Windows 11 and Windows 10? Well, File Explorer is quite similar. So File Explorer is the way to look at the files that are saved on your drive. So it houses and organizes your files. You can make new folders. You can copy and paste folders, all that kind of stuff. You can look at your drives and things like that. So this is your Windows 10 layout. Please note how many small, tiny icons and words we have up here. There's a lot happening. I believe this is what Microsoft refers to as the ribbon. And Windows 11 changes this around a little bit. Let's take a look at how Windows 11 changes File Explorer. So you can see you still have your sort of drill down menu on the left. And then when you click on something, the contents of the file or the drive will populate in the box on the right. But you can see that the ribbon is much cleaner. There's a lot less sort of words and things going on there. Once you select a file, up at the top, you'll see the options for managing the file. So, and if you if you put your cursor on the icons, it will tell you what the icons mean. So we have our cut, copy, this is going to be paste, rename, share, delete, then you have sort and view. This is to change the view of what you're looking at here. You can sort it by type instead of name, or however you want to do it. So that is just having some fun. That is File Explorer. And it works the same way. You can right click, you can do new folder, just like you can in Windows 10. Let's see. And just like in Windows 10, external storage devices that you attach to your computer will appear on the drill down menu over here. So you can access those. All right, what else is sort of similar between these two? So the start menu still houses the search bar, apps, and account, as well as power options. So that's right here. So if we, let's see, let's show you the start menu in Windows 10. Second, all right. So you would access it by pressing the start menu in the lower left corner. You can see it's sort of a shortcut to your apps and your programs. It has these things called tiles, excuse me. And some of the tiles are live tiles, which means they'll update, especially like the weather, will update with the current conditions or the current news or the current information. So how does this look different again in Windows 11? So we have a lot less going on. There's no tiles, there's no live tiles, but we do have some of our pinned apps and programs. Let's see, the search bar up here will search through apps, programs, files, and the web. You can access all apps by clicking the start menu and then this all apps, and they will list them in alphabetical order vertically. So if you're looking for a specific app like Xbox, you can find that in the alphabetical list. Let's see. Additionally, you have user accounts, so I can sign out or change account settings. If there was another user on this computer, I could also switch to a different user. And then there's also power options. So we have shutdown, restart. Some computers will have a sleep option. So these are a lot of the similar options, but they look slightly different in Windows 11. So that's the start menu. Let's talk about the system tray. So this is something that you might not hear too much about, but has become more and more important in the past couple iterations. So the system tray is in the lower right of your taskbar. You can see there are volume controls and also internet options here. Let's see. So let's click on this. You can see you have some options, and also your volume is right here. So the volume slider is available there. So how do we connect to the internet through the system tray? We click the internet icon on the taskbar, which is right there. Excuse me, I have a little tickle. We click on the icon right there, and then we click the right arrow next to Wi-Fi, and then we can select a network from the list. So we just have this one. Ooh, there's a couple more for us. So we could switch to a different network if we so choose and have the credentials. So then we enter the password and ask to connect. So that is something you can access from the system tray. What else is in the system tray? If we click on the caret in the system tray, you can see other programs that are running that you might want to access. We can see that Zoom is currently running. And so you might want to see what kind of options are available from the system tray just to access these programs quickly. Additionally, we have calendar, date, and time as well. Just like it was in Windows 10, we have it over here in Windows 11. Obviously, we can scroll up and down on the calendar and things like that. All right, we're almost there. We got 8 more items, 8 more similar items, and we are on number 6 right now. So let's see. So program and file shortcuts can still be accessed from the desktop. That is something that's similar between Windows 10 and Windows 11. We can, for example, after connecting to the internet, you can double click a web browser. You can double click a web browser from the desktop, so like Edge, Chrome, or Firefox to get to the internet. Excuse me. So we have Firefox open right now, and we opened it directly from the desktop. So all of these items that you see can be opened from your desktop. A lot of these items don't come standard with Windows 11. Some of them you would have to add with subscriptions or things like that. But let me tell you a little bit about how you would get apps and programs for your desktop. Programs can be installed from the Microsoft Store or downloaded from the internet, just like in Windows 10. The Microsoft Store contains a collection of free and paid apps all in one place, but it requires a Microsoft account to download the programs. So you can see the Microsoft Store here. It's pinned in the start menu. If I open it, we'll see. I don't know if it'll open. I'll be shocked. Let's see. Wow, I'm shocked. All right. So you can see the different apps that you can download from the store right onto your computer. Some of them are free, some of them are paid. But just keep in mind, the Windows Store is not available on the library's public computers because it requires a Microsoft account. Lastly, let's talk about Cortana. So Cortana, we see it again in Windows 11. And she is a digital assistant, just like Siri and Alexa from Apple and Amazon. Cortana is not enabled in the operating system by default. To use Cortana, you would search for and open the Cortana app. And there it is. And then sign into your Microsoft account. Great. So Cortana is also not available on the library's public computers, again, because of the Microsoft account. But Cortana can be very useful. There's some voice recognition and voice activation, which can be very helpful for people, especially if they're using their computers. So it's good to know that that's still available from Windows 10. So we've looked at a lot of stuff that's very, very similar to the previous operating system. But what is new with Windows 11? Well, let's see. So the first thing to notice, if you didn't notice it already, is the taskbar is centered rather than left justified. So this is something that I switched when I started using Windows 11 at work. So you can switch it back to left justified if you go into the settings menu and then personalization, where we just were. And then if you click on taskbar, there's a lot of taskbar options. I believe it is behaviors. Yeah, so we can change it from left to center. There's a little cute animation too. It's very cute. So now it'll just sit here on the left, but let me put it back in the center. So if you want to switch it, that is something you can do. This center justified taskbar is similar to the style of the taskbar in the Apple operating system, the Macintoshes, Mac OS, and Chromebooks. So both Macs and Chromebooks have their taskbar centered. So I assume Microsoft was just getting on that bandwagon. Additionally, Internet Explorer has been removed from Windows 11 in favor of Microsoft Edge. Edge is basically just a new improved version of Internet Explorer. So, you know, it's not a huge deal. If you're used to using Internet Explorer, Edge should be better for you. So this is something that we do have in Windows 10. It's called Snap Layouts, but they've given it a name. They've sort of codified it a little bit more. So let's talk a little bit about Snap Layouts. So I've got my browser open. If I click and hold and drag, if I click and hold and drag, I can move the window around a little bit. I can also open a second program. Let's say I'm working on a spreadsheet and I want to get my Excel program open. I've got Excel as well. But let's say I want to look at them side by side. So this is something Snap Layouts are great for. And it helps you quickly and easily arrange all of the windows that you have open. Get to the next section. All right, Snap Layouts are accessed by pressing the Windows key and Z. And if you're using a Mac keyboard, the Command key is the same as the Windows key. So you can see here, these are my Snap Layouts options. And if let's say I just want to look at them side by side, really easy. So Excel is the one that I'm looking at now. So I'm going to put that on the right, and then it will give me options for the open programs. I'm going to just put that on the left. So now I can see both of these programs side by side. In Windows 10, it works quite a bit differently. You would just kind of drag it to where you want it, and then it would give you options. But this works a little bit smoother, I think. I have to practice doing the sort of the quarter spots because they can be a little finicky. All right, and again, that is Windows key and Z to get that snap menu going. Snap layouts. Who knew? All right. So some other things that are new with Windows 11. There are revitalized widgets. So the widgets are right here. These widgets are kind of like live tiles. That's kind of where Microsoft has put them. They can show the weather, news, stocks, things like that. So it updates with sort of the current happenings of the moment. So you can access them via the little icon on the taskbar. And you can add widgets by clicking add widgets here. Let's say I want some photos. Amazing. Wow. And then I can delete widgets by clicking on the 3 dots and then just remove. Simple as that. So this is sort of gives you a quick glance about what's happening now. So that is widgets. Additionally, for Windows 11, which is new and exciting, we have the ability to install and run Android apps on the computer, which we did not have before. This feature is not quite available yet, but will be available via the Microsoft Store when it becomes available. So let's spend a little bit of time talking about the new and improved accessibility options in Windows 11. So if we go into settings, we can see there's a whole tab for accessibility, which is true in Windows 10 as well. But there are some new exciting things here. So the accessibility options in Windows 11 promises better support for third-party accessibility software, including screen readers like NVDA, magnification, cart services, and speech commanding. There is also a new feature called voice typing, which allows you to dictate text anytime you're in a text box. So if you want to do speech to text, it can be done simply. Let me open quickly Notepad, which is just sort of just a text program. And when you are in a text box or a program where you can enter text, you just hit the Windows logo key and H, and that will bring up speech typing. So let's see how accurate this is. You can see that it's recording what I'm saying as I'm saying it. This is great for writing. If you don't want to type things out, if you have some visual issues, you can use this to type instead of using the keyboard. So I can stop this at any time by pressing the microphone. So now it's done. And again, if you are using an Apple keyboard, the command button and H is what you want to press instead of the Windows key and H. One thing to note with voice typing is it doesn't do punctuation very well. You have to kind of be specific about it. I think you can actually say period or punctuation, and it will do its best. But it's usually, as you can see, it's usually sort of just a string of words. But but it takes a little finesse to get where you want to go. So another thing for accessibility is contrast themes. So let's see, we would go to settings, accessibility, contrast themes. There they are. And then we have some separate options. So let's say I have a little bit of trouble with really bright lights. I can select the dusk option, which seems really cute. Yes, dusk, apply. So we'll see how this changes. Look at that. Now we are in dusk. And Microsoft said that these high contrast themes don't sacrifice aesthetics, which is great news. And this is all sort of for the benefit of people who need it for sure. So let's get back to desert. None. Let's try none. Okay. So additionally, if we're talking about preferences, we can go to captions, and we have sort of some captioning options. So if you're listening to, for example, like a podcast in your browser, you might be able to get some captions with that. So you can, again, sort of change it for what you need it for. And you can see over here, it's previewing my selection. Additionally, you can choose any sort of thing that works for you, which I think is great. Whatever you need, Microsoft says you can have it. Black on black might not work for me for sure. So there's some caption options, which is great news. You can edit the font color, background color, and size of your captions. And one more thing about accessibility that's new for Windows 11 is the narrator. So there's more narrator options. You can choose speed, pitch, volume. You can choose from many different voices. If you need the text on the screen to be read to you. And this goes a great deal toward looking like other programs that are sort of well used in sort of screen reading functions, which is great. Alrighty. So we got about 10 minutes left and before the Q&A, and so I am going to talk a little bit about some frequently asked questions about Windows 11. So here we go, frequently asked questions. Can I upgrade for free? Yes, upgrading from Windows 10 to Windows 11 is free. A new computer with no operating system installed yet will require a paid Windows 11 license. You can also buy a computer that comes pre-installed with Windows 11. So here's another question. If I upgrade, what happens to all my files? Great question. By default, all your files and data will transfer. However, it is recommended to back up your files before installation to a flash drive or a service like OneDrive or Google Drive, depending on how many files you have. It's a sort of a risk analysis. How important are these files? Are they required for business? Are they required for your livelihood? If so, probably back them up before you try to update to Windows 11. Here's the next question. Will my existing apps and hardware devices work with Windows 11? So most apps and devices that work with Windows 10 should work as expected with Windows 11. The new operating system is sufficiently similar to Windows 10 that the differences shouldn't pose a problem for most apps and devices. Can I move back to Windows 10 after I upgrade my Windows 10 PC if I don't like Windows 11? This is a great question. So yes, once you have upgraded to Windows 11, you have 10 days to move back to Windows 10 while keeping your files and data that you brought along with you. So after that 10-day period, you would need to back up your data and do a clean install to move back to Windows 10. But it's nice that they give you 10 days to sort of test drive it to see if you want to use it. Can you upgrade from Windows 8 to Windows 11? Windows 8 is the operating system that was produced before Windows 10. So there is no direct way to upgrade a Windows 8 computer to Windows 11. You would have to upgrade to Windows 10 first, which is free, and then the upgrade to Windows 11. However, it is likely that a computer currently running Windows 8 is more than 4 years old, and therefore wouldn't be compatible with Windows 11 probably. So that's something to consider for sure. When will Windows 11 be available for my current Windows 10 PC? Excellent question. The upgrade rollout plan for Windows 11 is still being finalized. It is scheduled to begin in late 2021 and continue into 2022. It has already started. Specific timing will vary by device. Once Windows 11 has been tested and validated for your specific PC, Windows Update will indicate that the upgrade is ready for installation. So that's going to be in your Windows 10 settings. And then if you go to Update and Security right at the top, it will show you what the status of your Windows Update is. And then right below that, it should say, your computer is ready for Windows 11, or whatever message it has for you. Another question, can I keep using Windows 10? Yes, you do not have to upgrade your computer to Windows 11. Windows 10 will continue to receive support until October 14th, 2025. So you got a lot of time. All righty. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you everyone for joining us for this Windows 11 introduction video.